Hi, this is Justin from Money Bootcamp. Today I'm answering a question from Sarah, who is Money Bootcamp's biggest fan according to herself. Sarah's question is, how can I improve my finances while still in school? This answer is going to be applicable for anyone who is still in school, who's yet to leave school for either college or the world of work. The first thing you need to do is get a driving license. There's a couple of reasons for this. It's much harder to do later on. As you get older and older, you're going to get the fear and you're going to realize you are no longer invincible. As you age, you realize you're going to die at some point. You don't have this when you're younger, and because of this, it's much easier to learn how to drive. While you're at home, you also have the distinct advantage of not having a lot of expenses. If you can, borrow your parents or a family friend's or other family car, borrow that car and get them to give you a few driving lessons on their own. You're going to need to get 12 lessons according to the Irish law at the moment that are by a licensed instructor, but apart from these lessons you need to be out on the road practicing. So having the use of a car is great, and while you're living at home you can use this to your advantage to use your parents, friends or family friend's car. If you're using a parent or a family member's car, hopefully you can even get them to insure you without you having to pay for it. So what you're going to have with this is free, if not cheap, access to a car, and the same for insurance, because having a car and insurance is very expensive. So this is a really good perk while you're living at home to take advantage of. After you're living at home, this is much more expensive to do. To get the lessons, to get access to a car. Cars are super expensive to run, so you really don't want to get a car unless you really need one. Bonus point! Do not get a car unless you absolutely need one. So although I'm encouraging you to get your license while you're still in school, avoid getting a car unless it's absolutely necessary. Personally, I had my license for about 5 years before I bought a car. So there's nothing wrong with it, and some people even have a license for decades before they actually buy a car. You can rent or borrow a car if necessary, if you really need it. If you live out in the boonies, you may need to buy a car much earlier. So if that's the case, fine. But if you do not need a car, do not buy one, because it's very expensive to buy, and also even just to run with insurance, with petrol, with fixing the car up. It's a very expensive thing to own. Point number 2, get a bank account. Bank account is a great thing. You need to get used to using a card for transactions rather than just cash. It's also great to get in the habit of saving. If you have a job, you want to get paid into your bank account. This is also an easy way of getting a job, because not having a bank account looks kind of weird for a lot of employers. While you're still in school, most banks will give you free banking as well, so you don't have to worry about getting any charges involved in this. Being unbanked is a terrible idea. Having a bank account is really essential when you're trying to sign up for certain bills later on, or even getting a job. You need to prove your identity. It's actually really important to have bank statements to prove your address, but also just to prove that you exist and you're not a Russian spy. Okay, so the third thing that you can do while you're still in school is get a job or some work experience. If you can, get a part-time job. This is a great thing to do, as you're going to get some money, and money is great. The other thing that is really beneficial here is that you're actually going to get some real-world experience while still in school. This puts you ahead of a lot of your peers, as many of your peers are going to leave school and the only experience they're going to have is the education they have had. Whereas if you have some work experience, you're going to have that jump ahead of them, as you have had some real world experience. If you get paid work, this is the best way to go about it, because money is great, and also you're going to start to really learn to value your money once you start earning it yourself. If you can't get paid work, which can sometimes be a problem, don't despair. One of the big things you need to consider here is that the work experience is important. So if you need to, volunteer somewhere, find a family friend, find a neighbor, find someone with a business or who works in a school, a college, in any environment. Go and work for them, volunteer some time, do something so you get experience in a different area that's outside of school and outside of the school environment. There's a lot of benefits to this. One is that it's going to give you some experience outside of what you're doing. When you're going for jobs later, this is going to be really beneficial because you're going to be able to explain things you learned while doing this job that other people in your peer group do not have because they only have schooling and no work experience. Another benefit of this is that you may have to work some crappy jobs that you do not like, and this is a great thing because it's going to inspire you later on to work hard so that you don't have to continue working in this crappy job that you don't like. A lot of minimum wage jobs are the entry-level jobs that you require no training, no experience to work on, and you really don't want to be working these for a long time. You want to get some experience and move on, whether you're moving up in those jobs or you're moving into a different area completely. And if you really hate one of these jobs, it can be your inspiration that anytime you're having a bad day, you can think back and say, at least I'm not working in that job that I hated. It's also great in that when you're later going for a course in college, for a trade or for another job or career, you'll then have other experience to use in your favor to get you into that position, which some of your peers won't have because they won't have worked at all up to this point. And last but not least, it's going to give you an idea of what you like and what you don't like in the real world. You may think you like something from school, you have an interest in an area, but then once you work in it, you find out you actually hate it. You really don't like the actual day-to-day work. So trying an area out can be great for this. Whether it's paid or unpaid, doing a little bit of work experience in your area can be great, or in the area you want to go into can be really good because you can find out, oh, I do like it or I don't like it. Personally, when I was in school, I actually wanted to go into the military. So what I did was I joined the Reserve Defence Forces and was a part-time member of the Army for several years. And although I didn't go into it, I got the benefit of being in it. I learned all the things that come with playing with guns, shouting at people, rolling in the dirt, paid a bit of money for it, and girls love uniforms, which was great. So lots of benefits outside of just having the job experience itself. The last thing you can do if you have paid work experience, this is something I'd urge you to do as a challenge. Save 50% of your income while in school. So while you're in school, you probably have little to zero actual expenses that you need to pay for. So what I want you to do now, what I encourage you to do, is take aside 50%, so half of everything you earn after taxes. Put that into a savings account, and with that you're going to have that for later on. Having money is great and you're going to need to learn to use it. So part of this is you're going to have 50% your money, half your money, to spend however you want. The other half is there in your savings, because when you finish school, whether you're going into a job, college, a trade, whatever it is, something will come up where you're going to need that money. And if you don't need that money, just keep it, because after a few years, it will be building up, and you will find a use for it at some point. Even if you finish your course, you get a job, you've progressed a bit, you've done your trade and you finally qualified, you might have a deposit for a house, you might have the start of a fund for a wedding or for a trip abroad or a new car, whatever it is you want. Having some savings aside will give you a position of power to move from. You've only started earning, so you need to learn the habit of saving. Setting 50% is a great target. This is a target, so you aim for. If you don't hit it, okay, try and aim for it. Try to increase your savings to get there. Or if you hit it and you find you can do more, great, do more. But aim for 50% as a starting place. This is a great place to train yourself to be a financial badass. Becoming a financial badass is a hard thing to do, but it's a really cool thing to be able to do, because you're always going to have money if you learn the habits of good financial sense early. Right, so in summary of those points, we have number 1, get your driving license. Number 2, get a bank account. Number 3, get some work experience or a paid job. Number 4, save 50% of your after-tax income. If you're still in school and you do these 4 things, you are on your way to become a financial badass. When you're at school, the important thing is not to be building up lots of funds, but it's to get yourself in a position where you're going to earn more later. So what you do now has a really big impact on what you're going to later earn. So make sure you use this time to learn the habits you need to learn, like saving, but also you start earning and get the experiences and get the knowledge of what you want to work in, because that's really going to be a big impact on how your life is now and going into the future. If you like this video, please like it and share it on whatever platform you're on. Send it on to anyone you think will find it helpful. And if you have a personal finance question you want answered, send it to us on any of our contact forms, message us on Facebook, send me an email, and I'll try to get to it as soon as possible. This is Justin from Money Bootcamp. Learn money, live better.